Well, hello everyone. This is Fadi, and I want to welcome you to a special live stream of Let Us Reason. And it's really special because of the topic, but also because of our guest, Daughter of Christ, is here with us. And I wanted to do this show about holes in the narrative to commemorate the first year anniversary of that famous statement by Yasser Qadi. I was going to do it on the actual anniversary date, which June 8th, but then I felt like, you know what, a lot of people probably going to be covering it, talking about it, and I don't like to rush into doing things. And at the same time, the hole in the narrative is there regardless of which day. So I wanted our dear sister here to join me simply because we're both former Muslims. We're both from an Arab background. We both lived Islam, and we know the Quran very well. At least we understand how we viewed the Quran back then and what's going on with it today. And also, I want to be frank that the statement that was made by Yasser Qadi was a very honest statement, was a very sincere statement, and I wish he would have just kept it that way rather than to get into the tirade that he went into and trying to save faith for something that he really did not, basically exaggerate. All that to say, today's topic, as I've guessed it, is about famous statement, the hole in the narrative, took place in an interview, Muhammad Hijab and Yasser Qadi, a little over a year ago in June 8th of 2020. And as a result of this, I wanted really to address this particular topic about the holes in the narrative with another person from my background. So with that in mind, I want to welcome our dear sister, Daughter of Christ. Thank you so much for making time to be with us.
Thank you for having me, brother. God bless you. Happy first anniversary of the Holy Book.
I don't know, but I don't know about happy. I just really hope that our Muslim friends will really pay attention to this, that they will see that we're not bringing this back up here just because we want to antagonize them. We're bringing it back because we want it to be at the forefront, and we want them to be aware of the fact that if they are placing their hope in such a book, then literally they are believing in something like a sieve that has a lot of holes in it, that it will not stand, and therefore it's on them to defend that on Judgment Day. And we don't want them to wait until it's too late. We want them to know now, today, and realize that the Lord is standing at the door and knocks, and all they have to do is answer his call. With that in mind, dear sister, let's reminisce and go back at least to that day. Did you hear about it the day it happened, or at least that week?
I heard about it that week, and I was shocked. I could not believe that a Muslim scholar was finally so honest, and I knew it was going to be big. And us brothers and sisters, I knew people were rushing to download the video before it was deleted, because we knew how things would go. And people started taking screenshots of Muslim comments, being shocked because we knew they would be disabled later. Yes, I'm so glad that I'm in the truth, following the Lord Jesus Christ, because there are no holes in my narrative. But he said holes as in holes plural, which is true. He also said that it's in their books, and that the ahruf and qira'at cannot answer some basic questions that are now being prodded, that are now being poked, and that he would not know what to write on an empty mushaf. What do you think, brother? Amazing claims.
It's absolutely astonishing. And when it happened, I should say, you can tell that Muhammad Hijab almost was taken aback by it, to the point that Muhammad Hijab kept pushing for the idea, if I were to give you a blank sheet of paper, can you write it to me? And would you write the exact same thing that we have in our hand? The very question, by the way, about Muhammad Hijab was a little bit, perplexing to me, because Muhammad Hijab should know better, that at least on the surface, there is this idea of seven ahruf, or whatever that means, right? Everyone has an opinion about what the 7 ahrufs mean. Is it 7 dialects? Is it 7 different readings? Is it 7 ahruf in terms of like the letters themselves? Is it different rasm? There is so many opinions about this. In fact, there is in excess of 40 different opinions when you try to examine it. That alone is a big hole when you have something that talks about different ways of reading, but nobody knows how to explain it in the first place. So I was shocked, and then I was equally shocked about the answer that finally Yasser Qadi being pushed to answer. It says, that he wants to take a deep dive. I'm a diver, by the way, so I love to take deep dives. So I would love to do a deep dive today, in terms of those holes in the narrative. With that in mind, I'm going to ask another question. Do you think the reaction by both of them, almost Muhammad Hijab within probably 24 hours or so, maybe 48 hours, he edited that part of the interview, and then almost in a couple of weeks later in July of that year, both of them removed it. And, what's his name? Yasser Qadi first turned it into a private video so no one can see it. And then finally it disappeared. At least from their perspective, it disappeared. It did not. I mean, we all have copies of it, so it's no big deal. All that to say is, what do you think about the reaction? I mean, was that justifiable? What do you think caused them to do this?
Well, what initially caused that pushing for that answer was that Yasser Qadi, it came out that he'd actually doubted the Quran in that way and emailed those doubts to his Muslim brothers in the Dawah. And that was a private email, which a certain person leaked. So that was out already, kind of, within their circles. That was in 2016. And then the person that leaked, his name is Farid, Muhammad Hijab said that he actually
also known as Sister Farida. I mean, I'm not sure because people know him as Sister Farida on my show.
I call him Farida as well. So he actually spoke to Muhammad Hijab the day before. He said, please clarify with Yasser Qadi, because they knew about those doubts. That's why he was pushing. That's why he said, what is your position regarding the preservation of the Quran? Do you believe it's munazzal, revealed from Allah and preserved? And that's why he became all uncomfortable, because he knew the backdrop of the Muslims knew within his circle that he doubted. And then he just came out. He was like frustrated. He said, look, there are holes, deal with it. And so the backlash, like you said, brother, was Muslims were shocked at large, because we were told as former Muslims, dot by dot, letter by letter. How can you say it's not an easy yes or no? I wouldn't know what to write. Even Muhammad Hijab himself said it should be an easy yes or no. If you remember, brother, if you have the copy of, the now deleted video.
Well, by the way, there are multiple sites that have portions of the transcript, and some even have the entire thing transcribed. So you'll find it, folks. Don't worry about it. I mean, and if you need the video, somebody guaranteed knows someone who has the video. I mean, I know a couple of people, but I don't want to bring up their names here. All that to say is this. You're absolutely correct. From Muhammad Hijab's perspective, it should have been an easy answer, right? I mean, yes or no. And then, of course, either answer probably would have opened another Pandora's door. I mean, so Yasser Qadi knew right there and then that, oops, we're in trouble here. I mean, it's just a matter of whatever way you answer. And you feel like he was set up, actually. I mean, I hate to say that. He was kind of set up into being driven to that. He tried to avoid the question. He tried to at least take the general, Islamic clerk approach. Let's not talk about these things publicly. We'll talk about it privately. If you take my course, I mean, I didn't know he was teaching a course. I would have definitely taken his course and took a deep dive with him. I would love to know what else I would have learned from his own perspective, because it's obvious that he has a lot of doubts about his own faith. So yes, no doubt about that. So it was absolutely interesting, intriguing, to say the least. With that in mind, before we begin now to talk about some of these holes, or at least perceived holes, if you wish, from our perspectives, I want to welcome everyone who's joining us here. The topic today has to do with the first year anniversary concerning the famous statement by Yasser Qadi during an interview, a live stream that he did with Muhammad Hijab back in June 8th of 2020, when he was being asked about the Quran and if the Quran was preserved and if he can repeat, the Quran by writing it word for word in a piece of paper that is blank. And the answer was that there are holes in the narrative, and all hell broke loose, no doubt about it. And obviously, he was being attacked by Muslims. I mean, Christians didn't go after him, atheists didn't go after him. So it was a really sad state of affair that he was being attacked by his own community. And I don't know if he recovered from that. I very much doubt that he will ever recover from such attacks that he has received. But all that to say is this, dear sister, can you begin to give us some examples of what anyone can perceive as a hole? And I will counter that with you as well, of course.
Yes, brother. There are so many holes. I was spoiled for choice, brother. The first hole, brother, is actually the preservation itself. The fact that something is preserved doesn't actually mean it's a miracle. Okay? That's the first thing I want to lead with. Islam is built on this one thing, the miracle of preservation. Because the Quran is meant to be preserved, then it must be from God. That's not true. The works of Shakespeare are preserved, word for word. That doesn't mean they're from God. I could write something today and say, tell my descendants, preserve it, and they could preserve it word for word. Doesn't mean it's from God. But we'll give the Muslims that. We'll give the Muslims that. Even if we go by that assumption, which is false, that something is preserved as from God, it still isn't preserved. And that's from their own books. Like Yasir Qari said, it's in our own books. The first example I want to say, brother, is from Ibn Ka'b. Now, Ibn Ka'b was one of the 4 people that Muhammad said, take the Quran from them. He said, خُذُوا القرآن من أربعة. Take the Quran from 4 people. Ibn Mas'ud, Ubay ibn Ka'b, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, and Salim Mawla Abi Haditha. 4 people. And that's from, you can find that all over the hadith collection, Sahih al-Jama' says that, authenticates this from Muhammad. So Ubay ibn Ka'b himself said, how do you read Surah Al-Ahzab? He said to somebody. How do you read Surah 33? And how do you count it? It was said to him 73 verses. He said, never. He said, never. I saw it and it is equal to Surah Al-Baqarah, which is 286 verses. By the way, brother, Muslims only have 73 verses. He said it was equal to Surah Al-Baqarah, which is 286. So there are more than 200 verses missing. And he said in those verses was the verse for stoning of the adulterer, man and woman, which still is not in the Quran today. And that's according to Ibn Hazm's Isnad, which is Sahih. He said it's as Sahih and authentic as the sun, Sahih Kashams, with no doubt. So where are those 200 verses, bro?
Absolutely. I mean, these 200 verses have disappeared, among many other things. Like, for instance, the stoning verse have disappeared. There are a couple of verses that Aisha herself admitted that the goat ate it. Holy goat. I mean, seriously. I mean, holy goat. I mean, you have a goat that ate part of the Quran, and now we have to rely on the fact that one tradition says that those verses existed. They are in the tummy of a little goat, and now we don't know about them. I mean, give me a break. What happened to this claim that the Quran is preserved? Chapter 15, verse 9. Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. And you say, please, the remembrance here can apply to the Torah also. No. But I assure you it does apply to the Torah, because in chapter 21, verse 105, it says the exact same thing about the Torah. And it says that we revealed this after the remembrance, talking about basically the Zabur, the Psalm. We revealed the Zabur after the remembrance. What is the remembrance then? What did the Zabur come after? The Torah, you know. But all that to say is like this claim, no. It is absolutely preserved. Gee, 200 verses are gone here. 1 verse, stoning verse gone there. 10 verses are in the tummy of a goat. And the list can go on and on and on.
I've heard Muslims, brother, say, we don't care what's in the manuscripts. We don't care about the hadith. We don't care any other evidence. The verse in the Quran that you mentioned, it says the Quran will be preserved, so we trust it. I say to them, look, how can you, if for something to be proven right, you have to prove it from outside it. You can't ask the book what the book thinks of itself. Obviously, the book will say this is a great book, this is a preserved book. But to prove that, you can't take your word for it. For example, brother, I can be 100% confident in my faith, not only because the word of God is obviously clear and in the Bible and obviously true, but also because there are historical evidence about, like, for example, the crucifixion of Jesus from outside the Bible. There are Jewish sources that that prove that he was crucified. There are Roman sources like Tacitus, Flavius Josephus, and all these people who wrote about the crucifixion of Christ. So there are unanimous historians that said that. For the Quran, there is proof from inside it, from the inside the religion, that is false, that is not preserved. So how can you go by, you know, take somebody's word for it?
Exactly. And I want to, first of all, I want to address someone who has converted to Islam. What a big loss for him, actually. Goes by Al-Zunaid Alexander Adam. Hey, why do you still have your American name, Alexander Adam? Are you ashamed of the fact that you left basically and you're following Islam, or you're not so sure? Are you like in the middle right now, wishy-washy, you know, not knowing what which part you want to be on, and you're saying we are wrong? Have you ever studied the history of the Quran in Arabic? Until you do it, don't come here lecturing us, okay? So I'm just going to give you this friendly advice right now. One more comment of you like this, and you will find yourself blocked immediately, my friend. We're not here really to allow for these heretical values and heretical views. You're a heretic, sir, and you are bringing heresies with you. Now, dear sister, let me ask you this question. From your own understanding, when you're a Muslim, what was the first cause for the compilation of the Quran, the collection of the Quran, the first time it was collected?
What I knew, brother, was that it was collected first. They first tried to collect it after Muhammad died in the time of Abu Bakr. I knew that Uthman burnt all the different mushafs. All the Sahaba had their own mushaf, including the wives of Muhammad had their own mushafs. What I was told actually was very confused. We were told, brother, in the masjid that Muhammad gave the Quran to his companions. There was no doubt by the time Muhammad died what the Quran was. And they just collected it to stop people from being differing on the Quran when a lot of people died in the Battle of Yamama. But brother, after I came to Christ for different reasons, and after when we did research and knowing your work and Sister Hatoun's and others, that's not true. After Muhammad died, people were confused what the Quran was. People didn't know which verses went where. For example, brother, if you read Kitab al-Itqan fi Ulum al-Quran by Suyuti, Muslims disagreed which verses were the last verses revealed. Some of them at the time of Abu Bakr thought it was Surah 2 verse 281, Taqwa yawman turja'una fihi ila Allah. But then Ubay came and said, no, the last verse was Surah 9 verse 128 and 129. People thought the Quran stopped at verse 127. He said, no, add these two verses. So, and they only had his word for it, only one person. If you know what Muslims say about hadiths that are only narrated by one person, now it's weak. It's not mutawatir. And yet you have these verses in the Quran that one person comes and says, oh, wait, put this one in, I heard it from the Prophet, when they were compiling it. Not everybody knew what the whole Quran was. So,
yeah, absolutely. I want to also welcome another loser by the name of Combating Disbelief, who was destroyed actually twice in a debate or a friendly dialogue. We weren't even debating, by the way. We haven't even scratched the surface with him. And what's so hilarious about this guy, he's so delusional. He doesn't even know the difference between lost and won. So after being destroyed twice by Sam Shamoun, I mean, I really pitied the guy, actually. All of a sudden, I receive an email from him that he has mopped the floor with us, that he won. I mean, this is how delusional we're talking about sometimes, people who have their head all the way down in the sand. And I'm glad you're here. Listen to the Quran that you believe in, bro. One more word of you, and you'll be put on timeout, obviously. So, have you heard of the names of those 4 members of the committee that Abu Bakr, by the advice of Omar, were tasked basically to collect the Quran for the first time? Obviously, Zayd ibn Thabit is the first among all of these names, as you know, correct?
yes, brother.
Yeah, so you hear about Ubay ibn Ka'b, Mu'adh ibn Jabal, Zayd ibn Thabit, and Abu Zayd al-Ansari. Well, that's at least what we're told apparently there is a lot of holes in the names themselves. So some other names add another name of a person called Abu Darda. Another name add Uthman. Some will say Tamim ad-Dari. Another one says Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was part of it. Salim ibn Muqatil. Salim ibn Maqil. Salim ibn Maqil was one of those also that supposedly was part of that group, but we don't hear about these things. We just hear about four. This is the story of Islam. You hear one tradition and all the other narratives are not shared. I doubt that any Muslim watching right now have any clue that there is other narratives concerning the four that were part of that committee that collected the Quran. In fact, my challenge to these two Muslims here, tell me who wrote which chapter in the Quran out of all these people that I just mentioned. Just tell me who wrote Surah Al-Baqarah, who wrote Surah Al-Nahl, who wrote Surah Al-Naml, who wrote Surah Maryam, who wrote Surah Al-Fatiha. That's if, Ibn Mas'ud didn't accept Al-Fatiha as something that was revealed from Allah, nor that he accepted Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas. Just tell me who wrote it. Don't come babbling here and tell me, oh, Matthew wrote Matthew. No kidding. Of course Matthew wrote Matthew. Or Luke wrote Luke. Of course. What a joke question to begin with. Go ahead, your sister. Now, some of the believers will say I'm angry right now. You know what I mean? So anyway, go ahead.
It's okay to have righteous anger, guys. I think we ought to be more angry when facing these things. Brother, that is another hole that I need to write down, because according to what I read in Kitab al-Masahif, Ibn Mas'ud wasn't one of the four, and he opposed the whole thing. You find that in page 190 to 191.
Exactly.
He said, I got cut off from transcribing the writings of the Mus'hafs for it to be given to a man, he meant Zayd ibn Thabit, who was kafir in his father's backbone, as in not born yet. Remember, Muslims thought that people came from the backbone. But anyway, he said, you include this guy, Zayd ibn Thabit, he was just a little boy when I was getting the Quran fresh from the mouth of Muhammad. He said, I have recited the Quran as taken from the mouth of the Messenger of Allah. That's Ibn Mas'ud talking. While Zayd ibn Thabit was still a boy, playing with the kids, and his hair was in plaits. Do you see the Muslims fighting over the compilation of the Quran, that he was left out of this group that didn't know the Quran? And Zayd ibn Thabit was a boy. He wasn't even born yet at the time when the Quran was actually revealed, and yet he was one of the main people that was in the committee of compiling this Quran. What do you think, bro?
Obviously, it's just a standard operating procedure. There is always these differences. There is always these variations. There is always these basically standard, narratives, and somehow one of them becomes the prevailing narrative. Now, what is the prevailing narrative about the first collection? You said it. It was Omar who advised Abu Bakr, because some of the Huffaz basically, or the memorizers, have died in the Battle of Yamama. Turned out that there's 70 of them only. My goodness, the whole Quran was memorized by 70 people. And I thought they have thousands by then. Thousands. Didn't it say like 10,000 entered into Mecca and conquered Mecca? But anyway, 70 only. So the whole community of Islam is dependent on 70 people, apparently, or at least a handful, to share the Quran with them. So when they died, Omar, rightfully so, was in a panic mode, supposedly, that we're going to lose the whole Quran. He totally forgot that Allah says, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun, in chapter 15, verse 9, that we have revealed the remembrance and we will guard it. He forgot that. Apparently, Omar did not really remember that particular one. So maybe it was added later. Who knows? All that to say is this. Well, do you know that there are other narratives also? The fact that it's possible that Umar made suggestions, but it wasn't collected until his own time. When he became a caliph, he instituted this. And some even say that Umar actually was consulting with Uthman, and Uthman later remembered what Umar says and went ahead and collected the Quran, which is known traditionally to be the second compilation. Have you heard of things like this before? By the way, this you can find in something called The History of the Quran by Braille. You can go online, you'll see the book. Good for you. You pay $200 and you get it. It's worth it, actually. because then you'll know about all the holes in this narrative. Go ahead, sister.
Yes, brother, I knew some of that. I knew that people panicked, like you said, brother, the caliphs panicked because people started differing on the Quran. I found in Kitab al-Masahif, page 207, it was told to Uthman, so this is a later stage now from Abu Bakr and Umar, that people in Iraq, when one of them was asked about a verse, when it was read to him, he would say, Ana kafirun bidhalik. I do not believe in this one. I'm a kafir about this one. And this is after the compilations, brother, that you talked about of Abu Bakr and Umar. This is at the time of Uthman. So they spoke to Uthman about this. And he ordered them to gather the masahif and burn them, and then spread the ones that he approves of to the provinces. So even after these compilations, people were still calling each other kafirs, about which verses that they approve of and which verses they thought were from the Quran or not Quran. Muslims who think that Muhammad gave the Quran like one full thing to his companions and died. No, that's not what happened. We're talking this one or two generations after, people were still disputing which verses are in the Quran and which aren't.
Yeah, that's true. So let me ask a question now. What about your understanding of the second collection?
It was flimsy at best.
Yeah, the one about Uthman. I mean, have you ever heard why it was done? I'm not putting you on a spot, by the way. I'm just trying to take you back to your days as a Muslim. You know, what was your understanding why Uthman, for instance, collected the Quran? I thought it was collected the first time. I don't know why he needed to collect it the second time.
Actually, as a Muslim brother, I was not told of the first compilations. We were just told about these broad titles of Uthman burnt some masahif to preserve the real one. We were told that everybody or most people that were trustworthy, they agreed on Uthman's mushaf and burnt the others to stop any confusion, that he did it for Allah, and it was like Allah's promise of the preservation happening through Uthman. Come now to find out that's not what happened. That's not what happened. Again, reading the Masahif book, it tells you that actually after Uthman had sent the Masahif to the provinces, people were still disagreeing. For example, on page 241, he said, a man from the people of Sham said, our Mus'haf and the Mus'haf of the people of Basra are more preserved than the Mus'haf of people of Kufa. This is after Uthman has sent them the Mus'hafs. So I said, why? He said, Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, when he wrote the Mus'hafs with the Qira'ah of the people of Kufa, he sent it out to them before he declared it for checking. But our Mus'haf and the Mus'haf of the people of Basra were declared before they were sent out. So some of them were checked and sent out. Some of them weren't checked and were different from the other Mus'hafs and were still sent out before checking. It was so hasty, it was so flimsy, it wasn't done properly. And that's why, brother, even 1400 years after Uthman was meant to have burnt everything wrong and kept one, we all have these different qira'ats and these differences. Go on, bro.
That's right. And so what prompted the second collection, as you stated here, is different way of reading, different way of pronouncing things. Of course, you are going to pronounce it differently in different regions because you have your own dialects. I mean, didn't Allah think about this? And then we get this idea that Allah was concerned about the Arab tribes, actually. So he even ignored the Greek back then, the Persians, he ignored others. He didn't care for them, although the Quran was supposedly a message for all mankind. Yeah, I mean, only in the Arabian Peninsula, obviously. That's what all mankind mean. But all that to say is that even when you look at that particular story, it's hilarious, actually, because the tradition behind it, even questionable. The same tradition that says that it was collected or revealed, I should say, in 7 ahruf. That's if any Muslim, I dare any Muslim in here to tell me what the 7 ahruf means. So that particular tradition is questionable. So I'm going to give you a taste of, what I mean by that. So let's start with this. Well, here, I'm going to read in English, obviously, but it's it's hadith, sahih, and it's reported also by Al-Suyuti. And it says this, Abu Juhaym reported, the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said, the Quran is recited in 7 ways. Do not argue over the Quran, for arguing over the Quran is an act of unbelief. You and I are arguing over the Quran, so I guess we are unbelievers. You see the warnings here, you see the threats. If you're a Muslim, don't ever dare to question the Quran, because you become an unbeliever. It's a brainwashing operation, by the way. So let's talk about another narrative, another tradition. Here is another one. Now, we said Juhaym, right? Abu Juhaym reported this. Now let's see who reported this tradition. Ubay ibn Ka'b reported. The messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, was met by Gabriel, and he said, "O Gabriel, I have been sent to an unlettered nation," meaning the Arabs. "Among them are the disbelieved, al-wathaniyin, the idolaters, the elderly, young boys and girls and men who have never read a book." Gabriel says, "O Muhammad, the Quran has been revealed in 7 readings." At-Tirmidhi, number 2944, reported this. The grade is Sahih. Sahih. Now, here is what's so interesting about this particular tradition, dear sister. Wasn't Ubay ibn Ka'b reported to be one of the scribes of Muhammad?
Wow.
So how come he missed it? He didn't realize the Quran was being revealed in different dialects?
It's amazing, brother. You say that we are unbelievers for this arguing about the Quran. According to Muhammad's criteria, most of his companions are kafirs then, because they all disagreed on the Quran, including the four that he said to take the Quran from, like Ubay ibn Ka'b and Ibn Mas'ud. So the Muslims who've taken their Quran took it from kafirs, according to Muhammad's criteria, but they're the same people that he told them to take it from. Isn't that, wrap your head around that one.
No kidding. So far, Abu Juhayma said that, Ubay ibn Ka'b said that. We're not done yet. We're not done. Abu Juhaym was one report. Ubay ibn Ka'b was another one. So now we're going to read Abdullah ibn Abbas. Okay, so Abdullah ibn Abbas was supposedly the cousin of Muhammad, the father of Islamic commentary, even though we don't know where are his original writings, but that's okay. And we're not going to argue about these things right now. Here's what Abdullah ibn Abbas reported. The messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Gabriel, upon him be peace, taught me to recite the Quran in 1 reading, and I requested another. I continued to ask for more until he stopped at 7 readings. As always, whatever Muhammad asked for, he is given." I mean, Gabriel here has the authority actually to tell Muhammad, okay, do it in a 2nd reading. So Gabriel trumped Allah. You see what I mean? Gabriel actually happened to be the God of Islam at that moment, because he's the one who decided that it's only 7. That's it, man. I'm not giving you more, just 7. For who? For the Arabs, right? Because Allah doesn't care really about the Greek and the Persians and others as well in the world. What say you, dear sister? By the way, this is Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim number 819. Sahih Muslim 819. And also Sahih Bukhari 4705. 4705. What is the grade? Muttafaqun alayh, agreed upon by many scholars, actually, not just one source. It's even stronger than Sahih, actually.
More holes, brother. More holes. So there are only 7 qira'at. What are they? Because there are at least 10 most famous ones that I know about, agreed upon in the Muslim Ummah right now. 14, if you include the 4 extra ones, you can become a reciter of 14 qira'ats. There is actually a famous Egyptian who's proficient in 14 qira'ats. They're all different. So if 7 came down to Muhammad after he requested it from Gabriel, playing God, then which ones are they? Please tell me. And can I ask you, brother, then these different qira'at, is it just dialect, or do they have different meanings? Do they change rulings? Do they change how Muslims practice? What do you think, brother?
Oh, absolutely. I really don't care what any Islamic website says. I don't care what any Islamic clerk will say. These rulings definitely change from a legal standpoint. And I'm going to show a couple of examples. I mean, we are going to talk about example. We're not done with the holes, by the way. We're just giving people one hole at the time. So Yasser Qadi wasn't kidding when he says there are holes in the plural. Okay, he wasn't saying there was one hole. There are holes in the plural, basically, in the narrative. So I'm still not done with the 7 ahruf, by the way. So let's go ahead and talk about another tradition. This time there is another veiled threat here. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud this time reported, a man was reciting a verse which I had heard differently. Notice, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, the scribe of Muhammad, that one of the ones that Muhammad says, learn the Quran from for, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was one of them. So rightfully so, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says, hey, I heard this verse differently, man. I heard it differently from the Prophet, peace be and blessing be upon him. I took his hand and brought him to the Prophet, and he says, both of your recitations are good. Where did the other guy hear it from, by the way? That's my question. Where did this other guy hear it from? And here's what Muhammad's explanation. Do not differ, for the nations before you were destroyed by their differences. Which nations have different variant readings, by the way? I'm really confused. Can you point one nation that has a scripture that came in two different, basically, readings, not one, in its original language? By the way, this is also Sahih, mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, number 2279. Your opinion?
Only Islam, brother. Okay. Only Islam has the Quran in Arabic in different ways. In the basically, like Khatun says, different Arabic Qurans in the original language, different words, different meanings. Only Islam, and that is according to the Muslims themselves. Even the first, second, third generations, they all documented this. This is like an open secret, brother. Like Yasser Qadi said, the elite people, not the layman, can't say it because it's fitna, brother. It's not hikmah, like he said. It's not wisdom. Muslims have always differed on the Quran, always. From the first, as soon as Muhammad died, they differed on the Quran. Like you mentioned, Ibn Mas'ud, brother. When people started gathering the Quran, it was said that someone came to the mosque and said, whoever used to recite the Quran in the qira'ah of Abu Musa, let him come to this corner. And whoever used to recite in the qira'ah of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, let him go to this corner. And they differed on a verse in Surah Baqarah. So you had different groups of Muslims said, okay, you read according to this person, you read according to this person. They differed on the wording, not the accent, the word. And it was from Surah 2, verse 196. They recited it, one group recited it, and complete the Hajj and Umrah to the house. And the other recited it, complete the Hajj and Umrah to Allah. Allah and the house, different words. And some of them got angry, their eyes became red. Hudayfa, he split his shirt. He said, Uthman has stabbed Islam and he will make it leave it altogether. That is in Suyuti's book, Ad-Durr al-Mansur, volume 1, page 503, and also in Fath al-Bari and other books. Muslims differed the first generation on the Quran. Go on, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine they differed from the get-go, actually, immediately. Now, I'm not done with the traditions about the 7 ahruf. One more, we're going to keep enjoying this. I'm enjoying my tea, actually. So here's another one. This time, it's Umar ibn al-Khattab who got involved now. Umar ibn al-Khattab reported, I heard Hisham ibn Hakim reciting the Surah Al-Furqan in a way different from how I recited it. Oh boy, here we go again. Here is one of the closest companions to Muhammad apparently didn't know that the Quran was recited in a different way. Man, Muhammad was hiding a lot of things from his close companions, and scribes. Ubay didn't know. Ibn Mas'ud didn't know. His cousin Abdullah ibn Abbas didn't know. Now one of his closest companions, who became the second caliph, Umar ibn Khattab, didn't know. He says, it was recited different than the way I recited it and how it was taught to me by the messenger of Allah, right? So I was about to argue with him, but then I waited until he finished and tied his shirt. It's amazing. Why do we always have to tie these people's shirt? I mean, how many times do we have to do this? Tied his shirt around his neck and took him to the Prophet. I said, indeed, I heard this man recite in a way different from what you taught me. In other words, this man is a heretic. That's what he's saying. The prophet said to me, bring him to me. I guess he didn't see him, like he's holding his neck right now. Then prophet said to him, recite. He recited, and the prophet said, as it has been revealed. In other words, yes, you're correct. Then the prophet said to me, recite. To Umar, I recited, and the prophet says, as it has been revealed. Verily, the Quran has been revealed in seven dialects. I thought it Arab. It's saying dialects right now. Recite whichever of them you find easy. Well, how come we only have Hafs? That's the standard one. How come our Muslim friends get bent out of shape when you say there are different readings? I mean, I don't really understand. We did a whole series called the Qira'at Conundrum, talking about different ways of reading it, but apparently Hafs is the only standard one that is more popular. So what do you say, dear sister?
It's amazing, brother. They chose the liar to follow. Hafs is known as a liar, remember? He used to lie. He was known by this. His hadith is not taken. And yet they leave everybody else and they take Hafs. What do you think, brother? You mentioned the companions of the Prophet. What about his wife? Do you know that Aisha herself confirmed that there are scribal mistakes in the Quran?
Of course, she added Surah Al-Asr, Ayat Al-Asr, and the reference to the prayer Al-Asr and things like that. Absolutely, but please go ahead and share. And I want to comment one more thing about the account of Umar ibn al-Khattab, by the way.
Okay, we'll remind you about that one, brother, after Aisha. So Aisha said, if you look at Surah 20, verse 63, Surah 20, verse 63 in Tafsir al-Qurtubi, it's talking about a phrase that is written incorrectly, grammatically wrong. Inna hadani la sahiran. Indeed, those two are magicians. It's written grammatically incorrect. People have deemed it wrong. This is, I'm reading from the Tafsir now. So much so that they said, someone called Abu Amr, he said, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to say it. Aisha herself said, they inquired about this. She said, indeed, this verse and also Surah 4, verse 162 and Surah 5, verse 69. She said, oh, son of my sister, this is the work of the writers, the scribes. They made mistakes in the book. They made mistakes in the book. These mistakes are still in the Quran today. And Uthman was told about this, brother. Uthman heard that a verse recited, Surah 20, verse 63. He said, Lahnun wa khata. This is incorrect grammatically. So someone said to him, Ala tughayyirhu? Should you not change it? He said, leave it alone. It doesn't change a halal or a haram ruling. Da'uhu fa innahu la yuharrimu halalan wa la yuharrimu haraman.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
And then Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi showed up and made changes later because of things like this. Well, what can we say, dear sister? It's a perfectly preserved book in a preserved tablets, except I don't know which tablet it was. Maybe it was an older version of a tablet. It's not updated yet. Maybe. I don't know. So let's go back again to the account of Omar. Now, remember what we said, that the idea that Uthman was forced to do a collection because there were different dialects. And then Uthman says, let's keep it in the Qurayshi dialect. So why in the world do we still have different dialects today, or at least 7 canonical, and then 3 added to it, we have 10, and 4 added to it, and now we have 14. By the way, an amazing work on this by a scholar that I highly recommend for people to read his work. If you can afford, of course, buying the books that he has done. Shadi Hikmat Nasr. Shadi Hikmat Nasr did an amazing work, by the way. So far, 2 books, and more is to come, talking about this debacle of these different readings. But here is the interesting thing, dear sister. Hisham ibn al-Hakim and Umar, both of them are from Quraysh. They speak the same dialect. Then how in the world one of them was reading it different than the other? Explain that to me. It's almost like you're saying you go to Saudi and you speak Hijazi, but 2 Hijazis speak differently. Or you go to, let's use Egypt, for instance. You go to Said, and you speak Saidi, but one Saidi speak different than the other Saidi. I don't understand it. I mean, how could that happen?
But even the Saidis, brother, when they speak, we understand what they say, and we may say the same word, but differently. Like you're in the US, brother, I'm in the UK. I say tomato, you say tomato. It's the same word. The qira'at have different words. It's nothing to do with dialects. And brother, I'm sure you'll give some examples. Dialect means a different way of saying the same word. It's nonsense, brother. The qira'at have different words. There is a recommendation, a Bridges translation of the 10 qira'at by Fadil Sulaiman. It's translated into English. 10 qira'at, he looked at the differences, the variations that he found in words and meanings. He only put 30% of what he found, not all. Sister Hatun showed me that book. We counted 930 examples of different words. Yeah.
I mean, I keep going. I'm sorry. I'll finish my thought after you.
No, sorry. That's all I wanted to say. But go ahead.
So speaking of that, I want everybody to know next week, me and Dr. Jay Smith, we will be in our studios. And one of the topics that we are going to address are the differences just between Hafs and Warsh. And we're going to give just a handful of examples, not a lot of examples, not exhaustive. But we are going to talk about some examples, and we're going to try to do a live stream to show that, even though we'll be doing a show on that, like a video series that will be recorded to be released after that. But all that to say is this. There are serious holes in this narrative. Let me recap to you. Ibn Juhaym said that the Quran was revealed in different ahruf. Apparently, he didn't know about that. He's one of those people that were, at the time, at least believers of Muhammad. Umar ibn al-Khattab, the closest of the companions of Muhammad, did not know that it was revealed this way. Ubay ibn Ka'b, one of the scribes, did not know it was revealed this way. Ibn Mas'ud, one of the scribes, did not know that it was revealed this way. And the list can go on and on and on. Abdullah, again, Ibn Abbas, who one of the cousins of Muhammad, didn't know that it was revealed this way and reported that. So how in the world can you have people who are so close in the close circle of Muhammad that did not know, and then 300 years later, a hadith tradition pops up and we get another collection, except this time by Ibn Mujahid, who decided which 7 readings are canonical and discarded everything else. Now, who gave Abu Bakr and Omar the right to decide, the readings? Who gave Uthman the right to decide which dialect and even burn the others? Who gave Ibn Mujahid the right to decide which 7 out of those are the ones that are found in heaven? These are the serious questions that our Muslim friends have to answer.
Absolutely, brother. And people objected at the time. Even of Uthman, they object, and even when Abu Bakr tried to compile the Quran, they said, you're trying to do something that the messenger didn't tell us to do. He didn't tell us to do this.
Dear sister, while you're talking right now and I'm talking, here's again Al-Zunayd Alexander Adam, who claims he was born a Muslim. I don't know why he have even a pagan name there. There is one original, he says, non-distorted text. Non-distorted text. Which one is it, Al-Zunayd? Bring it over, bro. We're waiting for you. Go ahead and bring it. I want a 7th century Quran that is complete with 114 chapters that matches perfectly, word for word, letter for letter, dot for dot, at tashkil, diacritical markings, exactly the same as the 1924 that we have today, which is the Cairo edition. Please bring it to us. I'll even put it right now, right here on the screen, and I'll bring you also live to talk to us right now to defend it. Go ahead. Go ahead, dear sister.
I'll save you the effort, Alexander. It doesn't exist. Muslims have been looking for it. We don't even have the Uthman's Quran, brother. We don't have, and you can correct me, a full manuscript of the Quran. And what we have doesn't always correspond with the Quran we have today.
Yeah, the closest we have to something mostly complete, I say mostly because about 99% of a full Quran, that is the top copy that is found in Turkey, but it has at least 2,000 differences in it, at least 2,000 issues in it, to say the least. Well, this leads me now to another issue. Here's what I'm going to do right now. I am going to share my screen and talk about some things from what I'm going to be showing at the moment. Okay, so let's do it. I'm going to share my screen here. And I want everybody just to be patient because I am going to show you something. And here it is. So what are we watching here? Well, what are we watching is something called the Sana manuscript. We're watching something called the Sana manuscript. Can everybody see here? This is the Sana manuscript. One of those manuscripts that I'm studying right now come from this collection. And it has two layers, an upper layer written in dark ink, lower layer faded blue. You can see it. You can see it. They use, basically ultraviolet light, and they're able to read what was in it. Why is it in light blue? Because it was erased. That's why it's called palimpsest. What does palimpsest mean? You have a piece of leather, you write on it. The leather is kind of expensive. They don't have papers like us. They erase it and they write something on it. The lower layer supposedly was Quranic, but it has variation as it doesn't match today's Quran. Then the upper layer also is Quranic and it still has at least variant text readings in it. All that to say, this is considered one of the oldest Quranic manuscripts. Yet we started it with a problem already that they have to erase. I thought the Quran was preserved in memory, dear sister. What happened?
Well, obviously it wasn't preserved in memory. It wasn't even preserved on a manuscript. Which one is the real Quran? Is it the I don't know, that's the technical words, the lower part, or is it the top part? And why are they not the same as the Quran we have today?
Yeah, so we have the lower layer, basically it's called, and we have the upper layer, and they are not in each other, obviously. They're not even identical. Erased it and made corrections, but the lower layer contains a lot of corrections in it. And is that because Elizabeth, by the way, says because they just couldn't keep corrections, they ended up erasing it just to save time and rewrote something on it. But I would argue, and I would agree with Elizabeth Poen and others who concluded that this is a proof that the Quran was in a process of being compiled. And as a result of this, people just wrote what they thought was Quranic. And then at a later time, it became fixed, at least on the surface again, because we know it wasn't 100% fixed until later. We still have the 7 readings and the 10 readings, the 14th, almost pushing into the 12th and 13th centuries before all of this happened. And then we have the 1924 Cairo edition. You do the math. It's almost 1,300 years later that we have something that is more popular now and standardized. So it's obvious that we have a problem. Now, let me show you some examples of corrections. And I want to give credit to Dr. Daniel Brubaker and those who are doing work like him, but he's the pioneer in this field. Let's take a look at, for instance, at another problem here. So here's what we have. We have this particular problem. What are we looking at? We're looking at a manuscript or collection of manuscript that it shows clearly that someone came in later, either added something that was not there, maybe it was faded, but you can tell that the writing style is different. All I wanted to show is that there has been edits taking place. Here, one word wasn't there, or at least a phrase wasn't there, was added by hand. Here, the same thing. Here, an identifier that this is Surat Al-Ma'idah. At least they're identifying which chapter, which is okay. I mean, nothing wrong with identifying, but what I'm saying, these are verses that were added in these ancient manuscripts. You don't need to be a manuscript expert to tell that the ink used and the writing style are completely different. Have you ever seen things like this before, your sister?
Fascinating, brother. Not when I was Muslim. It's not something we're taught, but obviously through the work that's been done by yourself and Dr. Dan Brubaker and Sister Toon, yes. And I really want Muslims to look at these slides now.
Well, let's take a look at another slide right underneath it right now. So I'm gonna zoom on that particular slide. We're gonna look now at this one. I did post yesterday on my Facebook page, and here's what's going on. And it's really an interesting and fascinating issue. Now, dear sister, you know that the Quran today has 114 chapters. Chapter 9, Surat Al-Bara'ah, right? Surat At-Tawbah, sometimes they call it, which is the most common name. It doesn't have the Basmala, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which you find, by the way, in every chapter of the Quran except that one. Now, when you ask why it's lacking, the answer is even more troubling than the fact that it's missing, because it's not a chapter that should give security to the unbelievers. It's the chapter that has the sword verse in it, by the way. That tells you something. Okay, well, here's what happened. If that was the case, and if supposedly Muhammad is the one that dictated that, then why in the world we read later that it was Uthman who decided to split chapter 8 from 9 and leave chapter 9 without Basmala? That's one tradition. The other tradition, it was supposedly Muhammad is the one who wanted the Basmala not to be there. If that's the case, then look what happened here. On the image in the middle that is in gray and black to the left, basically, has something erased. Do you know what was erased? Al-Basmala, because it was put there before Surah Al-Bara'a, Surah Al-Bara'a or chapter 9. Somebody put it, and then it was erased. You find the same thing, by the way, the same issue in the Sana manuscript that I just showed. It does have the Basmala in it. What happened? Did they forget? Did they not know that they're not supposed to have it? Or someone else later made that decision and wanted to be taken out? You see, that's the question that we need to ask. Who decided this, and why was it taken out at a later time? Obviously later, because it was written and then someone decided to take it out. We don't know when that happened. Could have been a day before, after, or it could have been 100 years later. If a Muslim can prove to us when it happened, all we can say is that it was written. Apparently it wasn't preserved in memory. And my question, how many such words were written and added because somebody thought they were part of the Quran? Your comment.
Wow, brother. So do you think that someone wanted to standardize, so they went back and erased things that it looks to me like they didn't do a very good job?
Yes,
Sorry?
yes, that's one of the theories. Somebody came backward and began to standardize things. That's one theory.
They didn't even do a very good job, brother. Like that bottom one, they like put X's through it. It's just amazing. Makes you want to laugh. What is the Muslim answer, brother?
Well, I mean, they're going to be all over the board. I mean, I don't blame him for trying to defend this, basically action and trying to always tell you the same narrative like a parrot. It's preserved. It's one copy. It doesn't have any corrections in it. Really? I mean, I have to tell you, if there is no corrections in here, I'm going to go to my eye doctor immediately because I need to get different glasses, because apparently I'm seeing things that they're not seeing at the moment. Well, let's take a look at another thing. You asked earlier about something, and I'm just going to show you an example of what we've been talking about. So I'm going to go now to the same slideshow, and we're going to go to this one. This one, you have two readings, one by Hafs, the most common one, and one by Al-Susi for the same verse, And it's talking about فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَيُكَفِّرُ عَنْكُمْ مِنْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ. It is better for you, and it will expiate from you some of your sins. And the second one by Al-Susi is saying, فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَنُكَفِّرُ عَنْكُمْ. So who is the speaker that decided this? Somebody was saying in the third person, somebody else, let's say it is Allah, who is going to basically expiate your sins if you do this. Or Al-Susi is saying it was Allah who was speaking directly. So was Allah the speaker directly like Al-Susi this? Or was it someone else who reported that allegedly Allah said something like that? So it appears that there are people who are making up their mind and deciding what was being said. Another one of my favorite is the difference between Hafs and Warsh when it comes to if you could not fast in chapter 2 of the Quran, by the way. If you couldn't fast, what happened to your sister? There are conditions, right? One of it, according to Hafs, you have to feed in a singular one needy person, one poor person, miskeen. But in Warsh, it's masakin. And you and I know the plural in Arabic means it's at least 3 people, at least, because we have a dual form, because it could have said miskinain if it is 2.
Right.
So according to Warsh, you at least have to feed 3, if not even more. You know that Islam is a religion of works.
Right.
So do you feed 1 or do you feed 3 or even more than 3? And which one will earn you more good deeds? You see the problem? This is the kind of stuff that me and Jay gonna enjoy showing next week, actually.
Fascinating. Yeah, it depends which Quran you follow. If it's the Warsh like they do in Morocco, then basically you have to do these things. These are rulings, what the brother was talking about. If you don't fast because of illness or travel, you must do this work to atone for that. If you don't do it, you're sinful. So this is actually applies to Muslims today. It's not just an academic thing. So do they feed one person? If they're the Hafs, if they're in a lot of Muslim countries, yeah. If they're the Warsh in Morocco or Algeria, then there has to be 3 or more. And if it's 3 or more, how many? It doesn't say how many masakin, brother. So yeah, what do you do? What to do?
Yeah, but Allah wa rasuluhu a'lam. You know, that's the beauty about this whole thing. Well, let me. I mean, I'll be remiss if I don't show an image that I always use over and over, and many of our friends here who are watching right now, some of them are moderators, end up using the same image, and I'm gonna just let our Muslim friend watch it, let it sink in. Which Quran is the standard one? This is, by the way, a website called darulfikr.com. darulfikr.com. So I'm not making up stories. By the way, they have 24. There is an update. There is more than that. So which one do you go and buy? Which one is the one that is preserved in heaven? I mean, I get it. You're going to tell me, oh, no. They're all the same and different readings and 7 ahruf, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. Tell me which one is in the preserved tablet. Which one is in the preserved tablet? My Muslim friends, I ache for you because I live the same lie that you're living, thinking that there is one Quran, one perfectly preserved book, one only. Which one? Please point it out to me. Show me which one in here that is the one that is found in the preserved tablets. We haven't even scratched the surface, by the way. Our dear sister Hatun and the team that is working with her found more than 93,000 differences between these copies that I'm showing you, and even more. So please, which one is preserved in heaven? Tell us. Dear sister, back to you.
Yeah, which one? It's a case of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yes, Riccardi was right. Yeah, he was honest. We doesn't know what to write on a blank mushaf because there's so many of them. So which one will he choose? That's exactly the question. And what shocked me, brother, is that when Muslims lied about this, they made the lie so big. Not one letter difference, not one vowel sound, not one haraka, not one word. And yet the reality is so far opposite. We're not talking 2 or 3 or how many. It's like Sister Hatun has got 37 so far and still counting. You go to these websites, which one do you choose? It's just one big black hole. It's just terrible. And these are all Arabic. They're not translated. They are Arabic Qurans.
I did buy a few of them myself. I mean, at least from the 7 standardized one. And Sister Hatun kindly sent me a couple of copies of those ones that are outside of that as well. But all that to say, it really aches me, makes my heart really ache, and it troubles me that all of this knowledge that I just shared with you, that you shared with us, dear sister, is available online these days.
Yeah.
Why are our Muslim friends resisting searching for the truth? Jesus is the answer. Jesus is the answer. He is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the straight path. He is the only one that speaks truth, gives you truth, and allows you to find the truth and find the eternal abode that all of us are longing to. I grew up Muslim believing that Surah Al-Fatiha is one of those that were revealed by Allah, yet Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, one of the scribes, was troubled by the fact that it was considered to be revealed by Allah. Thought it was just a prayer. But even if it was, if it was indeed revealed by Allah, is Allah talking to himself? Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, guide us to the straight path. The Allah needs to be guided. And why do I need to be guided to the straight path as a Muslim if I thought I'm following the straight path now? Isn't Islam supposedly to be the way to heaven? I mean, this is just a glimpse of the problems that we're dealing with, my brothers and sisters in humanity here. We love you. Me and my sister here and all of us who left Islam, we love you. We're not doing this because we don't like you. We're not doing this because we want to antagonize you. We're doing this because we want you to wake up. Wake up from this deep sleep that the scholars are lying to you, causing you not to think. I'm talking about the clerks here, the Islamic clerks to be specific. And I'm also saddened that some academicians in the academic field, somehow they are afraid of coming forward and talking about these issues. This is why I love people like Dr. Daniel Brubaker. This is why I love people like Shadi Nasser Hikmat Nasser, I'm sorry, because they are brave enough to speak the truth. I mean, these are the findings. They're not attacking anybody. They're just sharing the research findings. What's wrong with that? Isn't the academic arena supposed to be for that purpose alone? And we're living in an era that now you can get books online and you can see things online. So what is wrong with that? Why should these men be silenced, basically not to say anything? Why should we be silent, not to share their hard work and bring it to the forefront? Dear sister, back to you.
You asked, brother, why don't Muslims search for the truth? Because they don't want the truth. And this is something I've seen, not all of them, but most. And the reason is family, comfort. Consequences are dire for a few people leave Islam. They're scholars, brother, the ones who say word for word, letter for letter in public, like Yasir Qadhi used to, but in private, they doubt. They send emails saying this is not right, there are holes. And when one of them slips, like Yasir Qadhi does, in a moment of exasperated honesty, they make an example of him. Because your scholars and sheikhs and imams are making a living. They are making a living, making money. Everywhere they go, they're honored. They walk around like Pharisees with big jilbabs to intimidate you, to make you treat them that way as if they're on a pedestal, because they have this knowledge. Whenever we ask you questions, you say, go to a scholar. God's heaven is not just open to scholars. When you stand in front of God, he won't ask you, you won't be able to say, let the scholar answer. That's what I say to them. And these scholars are deceptive. They hide it. And if you want an example, look what Yasir Qadhi did. Where is his video? Deleted, edited, cut out, comments disabled. And Muhammad Hijab then started bullying them, brother. Bullying the Muslims who came to doubt. Said, how can you be a Muslim? What kind of Muslim are you? Stop doubting. Why you doubt? They try to bully you into belief. They try to hide information from you into belief. They lie to you into belief, because it serves their pockets and their worldly gains and their prestige and their image. And you pay with your eternity, and it breaks our hearts. Please leave this and come to the Lord. Go on.
Amen. Amen. Well, Jawad White, you said you need me to answer your question. And Jawad, your question is confusing, actually. And I don't even know what you're asking about, but I'm going to read it. Okay. So here's what Jawad is asking. It's right here in front of everybody. Al-Fadi, but Quran has dynamic nature, my dear brother. I'm not your brother, by the way, Jawad. Unless you're a believer in Christ, I'm not your brother, okay? Maybe I'm brother in humanity, but don't call me brother in the faith. I'm not your brother. I want to make it very clear. This is what the Bible teaches. So we can save plenty of information in a little memory card. You're absolutely correct, because mankind is more smart than Allah. I can tell you that much. You're absolutely correct. Allah cannot save all these modes in his tablets. Of course he can't. You know why, Jawad? Show me one verse in the Quran that says that the Quran was revealed in 2 modes. Forget about the 7. Just 2. Go ahead and show me that. In fact, reach out to me by email and show me the verse that said that. And that, just go to my website, CIRAinternational.com. Anyone can go there and contact me directly and show me that verse, Jawad. Until you ask a serious question, Jawad, I'm not going to answer stuff like that, because you obviously don't know what you're talking about. So thank you, Jawad, for just asking me to reveal your question to everybody now. Go ahead, dear sister.
Can you get us the memory card from the 7th century with the full Quran on it, please?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's admitting that mankind is more smart than Allah. Allah never thought about these things, actually.
Yeah, what makes you think that Allah is real? The Allah of Islam? What makes you think that he's God? What makes you think there are tablets in heaven? It's all made up story, fairy tales. And it's just a big myth that's been started and propagated by lies. You've heard now from my brother and me, people from the time of Muhammad, as soon as he died, they didn't know what the Quran was. Compiled it. It was a guess game. Some of them put verses in the end, guessed where the verses needed to be. Some of them stood up and said, don't do it. They differed on the which verses are which. Some of them even delayed to put the verses in to see if there's someone will object or not before they would put it in. It's like going once, going twice. Does this verse go here or not? Some of them fought with each other, called each other names. You've seen Ubay ibn Ka'b calling Zayd ibn Thabit names. And these people were meant to be the best people in humanity, and they're calling each other names and fighting over the Quran. Like, the whole thing is nonsense.
It's a big mess, no doubt. But we have Sharif Ali Muhammad says, we are telling lies, not the truth, when we say, I love you. Are we really not loving our Muslim friends? I mean, so here is an example of a parrot right there. That's what a parrot will say. They will repeat things that they don't think about. A parrot doesn't think, by the way, doesn't think about what it's saying. Anything you tell them to say, they'll say it. So he's taught probably by a Christian, that if you really love me, you're not going to hurt my feelings. Well, bro, I'm sharing the truth with you. The Bible taught me to share the truth. In fact, it says, share the truth in love. I'm sharing it with you because I love you. And if you're denying the truth, that's not my problem. That's yours. I'm not going to, in Egyptian, I love it, tab alaik, I'm not going to really give you a hug and just say, oh, I'm sorry, man. I hurt your feelings by saying things that are not really pleasing to you about Islam. So what do you want me to say? Stay where you're at and go to hell? I mean, is that what you want to say? Is that your definition of love? No, of course not. Jesus is the way. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. You know where this comes from? Sharif Ali Muhammad. It comes from John 14. Amazingly, the same John 14, verses 15 and 16 that you and other Muslims will tell us, it speaks about Muhammad when it says about the Comforter. That is really troubling to me, because verse 6 says, Jesus, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. And yet you skip over that and you come to verse 15 and 16 and make up this lie that the Comforter is no other than a false prophet. Now, you reconcile that to me. Dear sister, I'll give you the last word here. Actually, you know what? Can you go for more? 10 more minutes?
No, brother.
Yeah. Just please address our Muslim friends. I mean, we want them to hear, why this is important for them from our background.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want from us? What is love to you? To me, if someone loves me, tell me the truth as it is. If you see me being deceived, see me being made a fool of, if you see me looking like a silly fool, and you don't tell me, and I continue to look like a fool, and then die and go to hell, that's not love. If you look at your friend and something is wrong with them, or they're doing something wrong that's destroying them, if they're taking drugs that are destroying them, if they're doing a horrible thing to themselves, and you tell them, stop doing that, you're destroying yourself, come to the truth. They say to you, you don't love me. No, if love is this tough love to tell you, you're destroying yourself. Islam is destroying you with its lies, and it's pretending to be the truth. It's the devil in disguise, pretending to be the truth. And if we don't tell you, trust me, my brothers, and my life will be a lot easier. There's so many insults and attacks. It'd be a lot easier if we just keep this to ourselves and have an easy life. And yet, come here all the time, my brother does, facing all this trouble because he loves you. Because our countries, our families, we love them. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be saying anything. And me, myself, brother, I love the brothers and sisters online who first made me uncomfortable with the truth. I owe them everything after I owe the Lord. Because now I'm in the truth, I'm happy, and I know where I'm going, and there are no holes in my narrative. So please, your idea of love is like a child's, They think that because mom and dad force them to eat vegetables for their health, that they don't love you.
Amen. Amen. Absolutely. Here's another thing. Al-Zunaid Alexander Adam, is making another comment that is just so sad to me, really. He's talking about Muhammad's body. He says his body still preserved, a sign again for you. Zunaid, or Al-Zunaid, or Az-Zunaid, whatever, however you call your name, if you can show me the body of Muhammad and prove to me that it is in Medina, buried where it says, in front of people when they're praying, by the way, they're praying to his body. If you can show me that it is preserved, I'll follow Islam again. How about that? Go ahead and prove it to me now. Show me a body. Show me an X-ray. Show me something in that particular location that it says it's his body, and let people even allow him to take DNA, because we can do it these days. All we need is just a piece of bone to prove that this is a male and this is an Arab, and indeed it's been buried for 1400 years. Go ahead and do that, bro. I'm giving you an opportunity now to bring me back to Islam. So go ahead and do it.
Brother, I go one further. I don't need a DNA test. I need to see this preserved body. He's in the grave. No one can see it. And then people are saying his body is preserved in there, but no one can see it. There's no proof. They're just lying to you. If not, I'm with my brother. Let them open the tomb. If there's a preserved body in there of any ethnicity, of any kind, I'll follow Islam. If they won't do it, then you know why, because it's rotting. Or maybe there's nobody in there. There's nothing in there. It's all made up, man. Think about it. If they could do that, Saudi could do that, and they can show the whole world, and everybody will come to Islam. Look, a preserved body from 1400 years ago. Bam. That's it. Finished. Yeah, but they won't.
Isn't that a golden opportunity to attract more people? Hey,
absolutely.
Look at the miracle. Look at the miracle. This guy's been dead for 1400 years, and his body is still preserved. Come and follow him.
Absolutely. So you need to give us some proof, and you need to stop believing their lies. Anybody can sell you any porcupines. Okay, go on, brother.
Well, I mean, it just breaks my heart when I see things like this. Here is a gentleman who is really passionate about Islam, and we were that passionate and even beyond. But it saddens me that he has an opportunity today that you and I did not have. He has a live stream. He has access to images that are available online. He can go in the privacy of his own home and do his own research. He can buy these books that we're talking about, like Dr. Brubaker's book, or Dr. Shadi Hikmat Nasser's book, or others, or find even articles. He has all of these things, the miracle of the internet, and yet in denial. The God of this age has blinded their mind. What a powerful passage in 2 Corinthians 4:4. It's amazing, really, that this is a testimony of the power of Satan, when Satan blinds the minds of the innocent like him, who are, unfortunately, unless they listen to the conviction of the Holy Spirit. By the way, if you say the Holy Spirit is not talking to me, or Jesus or God is not talking to me, well, he's talking to you through us right now. We're telling you to go and inspect things, and inspect the Bible, inspect the truth for yourself, but you're resisting. So don't blame anyone, because one day you will be reminded on Judgment Day of a live stream like this, and you're going to have to give an answer. And guess what, Al-Zunaid? The Bible says that every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. You, sir, will be doing this even though you have rejected Jesus as Lord and Savior. And what a terrible day it will be when you do that, knowing that you have rejected him, because now he's going to judge you as the righteous judge. Which, by the way, did you know that Islam also said that? Ibn Kathir confirmed that he is going to be the judge. I guess you don't know a whole lot about Islam anyway. Go ahead, dear sister.
Amen. Jesus is the only person, even according to Islam, that is alive in heaven right now. He's not rotting in some grave, and they're lying to you saying he's preserved. He is alive, and he's coming back. If Muhammad was the best and the last messenger, according to Islam, why isn't he alive and coming back? Ask yourself these questions. And even though these people are denying, brother, I know people are listening now, Muslims, who this might be the trigger for them to think about things. all the sources that we brought are from Islam itself. We're even using Islam's own sources to say this is not preserved. We're not even bringing Christian sources or atheist sources. It's from your own books and your own scholars, even contemporary ones, saying there are holes in the narrative. Like, what more do you need, seriously, if you're living in this age? Internet, your own scholars saying holes in the narrative, and having meltdowns, dawah gangs having meltdowns, and being chased in Speaker's Corner to explain themselves, to even give an answer to try and redeem it, and they couldn't. It's just amazing, brother. Like you say, they have no excuse, and we would have done our duty to deliver to you the truth, and then you would have rejected it, and you would have no excuse. Go on.
Amen. And before we close, we have a quick question from a Christian friend. His name is Mikayas Shibla. And he's saying, are there any verses in the Quran that says that Muhammad married an 8 years old? No, it's not in the Quran. But you know what? Even if our Muslim friends tell you, oh, that's a hadith da'if, which is, you know, the new standard these days, forget about that story. In the Quran, it talks about Muhammad lusting after the wife of his adopted son. What more do you need? That's what you need to focus on. That's reported in the Quran. The wife of Zayd, Zainab bint Jahsh, he lusted after her, caused her husband, his adopted son, to divorce her. And what was the claim? Oh, Allah wanted to negate adoption. Really? Is that how you do it? Destroying marriages and families? That is amazing indeed. Would you like to comment on this, dear sister?
Yeah, amen. And Islam actually prescribes child marriages, not just for Muhammad, but for everybody. Surah 65, verse 4, it talks about divorcing children who have not yet reached their periods. In all the tafsirs, including Tafsir Jalalain and others, it's talking about the incident where people were asking Muhammad, when do we divorce children? People who haven't, too young to have had their periods. So actually, it's for everyone. And Muslim countries, in their legislations, like Yemen, they resisted a legislation that increases the age of marriage from like 8 and 9 to, they wanted to make it 16 or something like this. And they said, no, we won't. You know who opposed it, brother? The Islamic councils. They said it's against the laws of Allah. Islam actually legitimizes and legislates child marriage. And it's still up to today.
Amen. Amen. Somali Christian TV, I am so happy to see you here. I sent you, by the way, a message on Discord. I don't know if you got it or not, but we need to connect. We need to do more shows together on your channel, on my channel as well. I saw you asking a question about the link to where you can buy these different Qurans. I think it's called alquran.com, but I want to ask Jay, and I'll send you that link where you can find, the different readings, if you wish, and so on and so forth. Dear sister, final words for you before we close.
Thank you, brother, for inviting me. There are so many holes. We went through some of them. It was fascinating to see your manuscript work. I'm glad now that we've had the first anniversary of the holes in the narrative, that the Lord has used people within Islam to bring it down. It's just poetic justice of the Lord is amazing. So thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to your streams that are coming with the different qira'ats as well.
Amen. Well, speaking of that, that's a good segue. Next week, Lord willing, me and Jay will be in studios on Wednesday, the 16th of June and Thursday, the 17th of June. We will be recording a number of series on Mecca, the Black Stone, and we are going to do a number of live streams as well. And part of that live stream is to talk about other rituals, Al-Safa wal-Marwa, if our brother Mel can join us. And then we are going also to do a series on comparing Hafs to Warsh, and most likely in one of the live stream we'll give you a taste of that as well. So be sure to be on the lookout for the announcements. We will, as always, make sure that it is live streamed on both Facebook and also YouTube channel. And we'll try to even have it live streamed on both YouTube channels if we can work it out. Fonder Films and CIRA International at the same time. But all that to say is we look forward to having many of you. Please announce it to everybody. And dear sister, thank you so much as always. I think we really need to come back and visit some of these halls one more time. And we want to really, we'll be remiss if we don't, if we forget to pray for Yasser Qadi. I really pray that Yasser Qadi's heart will melt to know the Lord, that he will remind himself in this anniversary about what happened and why it happened, that he was prompted to say something like this. We pray that he would know the Lord that will save him from all the headache and the trouble that he had to go through to defend reality. He defended facts. He has to really recant facts and truth, sadly, for the sake of saving himself and his life. Look what happened to another, YouTuber, live streamer, Abu Layth. I can't recall his first name now. Forgive me. Do you remember his full name, by the way, dear sister?
Mufti Abu Layth.
Yeah, there you go. Mufti Abu Layth, which, by the way, I would love to have Mufti Abu Layth on my show. I mean, if he's open for that, I love his style. I love his attitude. I love the truth that comes out of his mouth. I mean, I don't know if he likes to be on my show or not, but look what happened to him for just being sincere and didn't even say anything. He didn't say anything to deserve what happened to him and his family by destroying their property and things like that. And so I pray for both of them. I pray for others like them, that they would ask themselves, what peace does this religion bring? If you say anything, you're being antagonized, attacked, insulted, and the list can go on and on and on. I mean, this is, Sister Anne, if you can ask him, and if he's open, I'm not bringing him to debate. I want to bring in him just to talk to him. I mean, he is hilarious, and I love his laugh, by the way. His laugh is hilarious also. But all that to say is we want really this platform to be safe one. We want it to be a platform where people can speak truth, and we're not here to hide anything at all, as long as we can back it up. This is our philosophy. Dear sister here, she doesn't bring here without bringing you references. I do not share anything with you without references. No one comes to my show without giving you references. Sam Shamoun gives you references from here until Jesus comes, from both Islamic sources, and from biblical sources. So we're not fabricating truth. We're not saying things that are not unfounded or cannot be collaborated. But yet, at the same time, sadly, our Muslim friend continue to turn their back on the truth. And we get even attacks from so-called Christians who are so sensitive to the type of material we share. I'm sorry if our style doesn't fit your agenda. You don't have to be here, by the way. It's not about numbers for me. You don't have to watch my live stream. You don't have even to watch my video. You don't have to subscribe if you don't like the approach that we take. We are called to do things, and we're doing it according to our calling. And by the way, even righteous anger is biblical, and even calling those liars names is biblical too. And I'm not here to defend that position, by the way. All that to say is this is what we do. We want to destroy strongholds. We want to bring down walls that are preventing my Muslim family, my Muslim friend, my Muslim cousins, our Muslim friends from coming to know the truth. So I'll do it, even if it means that the last time I'll ever do it and be alive. It's not about fear for me. I'm going to be with the Lord. I know where I'm going. They don't know where they're going, and that's why I want to do this for them. Last word for you, dear sister. Amen. I lied before.
Amen. Amen. Amen, brother. Please continue to do what you're doing. Our dear brothers and sisters, please don't discourage the work of God that's has fruit. Brother here, he doesn't use any bad language. He just uses truth, forceful truth, which does work with Muslims. 2 Corinthians 10:5. We destroy arguments and every lofty opinion raised against the knowledge of God, and take every thought captive to obey Christ. That's what we're trying to do. We are trying to bring Islam, which is against the knowledge of God. It denies the crucifixion of Christ. It denies the deity of Christ. We're destroying those arguments so that Muslims can come out into the light. It is a biblical command. So please, if you're not able to support, please don't discourage. You're discouraging the work of God. I have seen fruit, brother. Praise God. In the comment section, I'm an example of a person who came to Christ through brothers and sisters online who talk about Christ in that way, who talk about Islam in that way, in that it's falsehood, it's terrible, it's taking you to hell. And it did make me uncomfortable, but it was what saved me. So please, please support our brothers and sisters. They're giving their lives, they're putting their lives at risk. And we pray for you, and please pray for my brother and me, and for all the Muslims who haven't yet come to the Lord.
Amen, amen. And I want to welcome Sister Margaret Sadler. Thank you so much for your amazing partnership and support, by the way, and all the things that you do. And Sister Mariana reminded me right now with she's an amazing moderator, by the way. I don't know if she ever sleeps. I mean, sometimes it's like, man, I mean, it's like 5 a.m. where she is and she's awake. Okay, that's fine. That's great. All that to say is she reminded me that we have just launched, by the way, a YouTube channel that has only my sermons. Only my sermons. You want to know how to get to it? Well, that's a good question. We need to hit 100 subscribers in order for it to get the right URL. It's called the King's Church, the King's Church with an apostrophe S. But she is putting for you, by the way, the link right now. It's not a unique link yet. So we're up to 74, I think, or 75 subscribers. We're looking for 100. Spread the wealth about that. It's not about me. I'm just preaching the word of God. That's all. We want people to benefit from these messages. Also to encourage others who, want him to see that the Holy Spirit works with anyone and through anyone. I mean, I went to seminary. I got a degree to preach. I want to put it to practice. I mean, that's why I'm doing this. So hopefully you guys will find this YouTube channel to be helpful to you in your walk with Christ, and also share it with other former Muslims who come to Christ to be encouraged. To encourage them, they themselves can do the same thing if they really want to dig deeper and deeper into the Word of God. With that in mind, dear sister, you're on for one more time before I take my lengthy vacation in July. So I'll get in touch with you and we'll try to find a time to do another live stream, Lord willing. Thank you so much to all of you here. Thank you to our amazing moderators. Thank you for everyone who comes here, even to our Muslim friends. I'm sorry if we sound harsh to you, because we want you to wake up from the deep sleep you're in. Time is limited. Look what COVID did. COVID hit, and hundreds of millions of people suffered, and God knows how many millions have died as a result of this. So time is short. We have no control over our lives. Today is the day of salvation. The Bible says, you have heard the truth. And here we go. Ali Muhammad Zana says that I am not a former Muslim, a liar. Okay, well, that's fine. That's a classic example of those. I think he's an engineer. I don't know engineering in what, but he doesn't use really brain cells when he's engineering. So all that to say is this is what we're dealing with. And Muhammad, by the way, Ali Muhammad Zana, which is an embarrassing name to say the least, but all that to say is he is the reason why I started my blocking challenges. So I want to thank him for giving me that opportunity to block him as the first person. Of course, he's coming under a different profile right now. Of course, Facebook allows people like him to have multiple profiles, but dare we do that, we get in trouble with Facebook. All righty. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, dear sister. This is Al Fadi, over and out. God bless you.